Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds here. Hello, this is Kai speaking here with Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's deck recipes. What I'm going to be doing here today is this is my first ever deck recipe that I'm going to be uploading. It's going to be counter fairies. I've been playing with this deck all day, and it's actually really good. I found that it wins a lot of my games, especially since most decks out there run special summons, and my ace in the hole happens to be Archlord Crystula. I only know about this card because one of my friends in real life actually uses this card a lot, and it really screwed me over when I first came across it because I was running so much special summons. Anyway, its counter cards are also a bit of a pain in the arse, so I'll start off here with the 4-star monsters. You've got these three cards here, which is like your main draw power for your deck with the counter cards. I'll get into the trap cards a bit later. I actually like this Dark Lord guy here. Basically, I don't draw him too much, but when I do, he is really useful. He's a good 3000 beater, and if he does happen to be destroyed, you still get 2 fairy type monsters, both with their own special effect. One can be destroyed by battle, while the other one, yeah, the other one's just a beater, but the other one can't be destroyed by battle. Sorry, I just had to update myself with that card there, just because in a couple of deals that I've been playing, I've actually not summoned him. I've got one Harvest Angel of Wisdom. This is just to regain some of my traps that I might have lost throughout the duel. To be honest, this deck runs pretty fast because there's a lot of cards that can help you draw other cards out there. So I only run one of him. I run 2 of these guys just to get Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. Normally when I'm running some Solidarity, sorry my pronunciation is so bad, had a few beers, but yeah, normally when I've got one of them on the field, this guy goes up by 800 attack points, so he's also can be a good beater just in case, especially for the broken free honest that you can have in this game. But yeah, this guy normally I use for Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. I've got 3 honest, which I know a lot of you guys will be like, oh my god, that's broken, which rightfully so. It is completely broken, but this is Decade Duels on the Xbox 360, not real life, and it's a 2-year-old format. 2 years ago, and people must have had it good. 1 marshmallow for basically just in case you're in a tricky situation, you can search him out with Shining Angel and kind of defend your life points until you get a good few cards. Sage of the Sky. This guy is good, just in case your opponent's using a tricky deck. And normally I don't actually use him that much, to be honest with you. The only times I'll ever really need to use him is when I'm against a burn deck or a deck out deck. That's when this guy comes into play. 2 Shining Angels, just to search out. Yes, you can even search him out for Honest, to be honest with you. If like you think that you can get Honest into your hand by searching him out. I've done that a couple of times before. The Goddess of Light. This guy is good just in case for Valhalla the Fallen as well. It's more draw power again. 2400 beer with Solidarity, that's 3000 attack. Herald of the Heaven, again it's just to weed out your deck for Sanctuary of the Sky. I run 2 of these guys because also again with Solidarity, that's I bet I'm pronouncing this wrong, someone's guy pointing out. But that guy goes up to a pretty strong beater as well, or you can get more cards out your deck, so you can draw the cards that you're actually wanting. And 3 Archlord Crystulas. If you don't actually know what this card does, I'll explain it for you. If you have exactly 4 fairy type monsters into your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. When you do, you can target 1 fairy type monster in your graveyard and add that card to your hand. Neither player can actually special summon monsters after this card's actually on the field, so that locks down your opponent pretty hard and fast. And on 5Ds, when people are running things like Black Wings, Light Sworns, even like my main deck, my Gear Town deck, my Gear Garden deck, like that would really lock that down. Lone Fire Blossoms. You know how you can look 3 Lone Fire Blossoms is broken in this game? Well, the completely locked down by this card. As soon as you can play this card in the field, I highly recommend that you do. Even if it's the first turn, just get this guy on the field. Earlier on I was playing against a guy who was using Elemental Heroes. He rage quit after the second round, after he realised that he couldn't use Future Fusion, anything. He tried, mind you, because a lot of people don't know anything about this card because it's new to Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds Plus. But yeah, this guy's, as soon as you can get this guy on the field, go for it. Most of the time I end up summoning him with Valhalla, Hall of the Fallen. Don't normally use this effect to summon it, but you know, it might actually happen. I've not yet used that way though. Now I'll go for magic cards. Giant Trinade, pretty self-explanatory there. Lightning Vortex, just in case you're getting a bit overwhelmed by your opponent. You never know when you might need that card. And also there's a few high level monsters that you can get rid of sometimes just in case. If things aren't going your way. Monster Reborn, pretty self-explanatory again. I run 2 of these, so there it is. If you don't know what this is, if you have one original type of monster in your graveyard, for example, all my cards here are fairies, works with plants, works with winged beasts, anything, then all your monsters will gain an additional 800 attack. You can do both of them and there'll be more attack points to you, but normally I only have one on the field, just unless I'm quite lucky enough to have 2. But this really boosts your deck, your attack power anyway, especially in a deck like this. I run 2 Sanctuary of the Skies. Honestly, there is a few times where I have drawn both of these and it has been a bit of a pain in the arse. I'm not gonna lie, that not every hand is perfect, but it doesn't normally happen. And if I don't have it on the field, then I can always get it. It's a pretty useful card. Free Valhalla the Fallen. This is like your ace magic card in the whole. This is like you're gonna be wanting to use this to summon Archlord Crystula. That's like your main card there. That, Honest, and everything else, like, you gotta play this deck pretty well. It may take you a few turns to get the hang of it, because you gotta really interpret your opponent. It's always, now for traps, 2 Dark Bribes, counter cards for draw power. I run 3 Drastic Drops. The thing about using these is a lot of people just use them straight off the bat. Sometimes I will, depending if I need to draw power. But if I can hold these in my hand, then I will use them. I've got an example duel with this deck, which is in the comments below and will be at the end of this video. But normally I hold this just in case my opponent has a Sangan. For example, if I destroy a Sangan with one of my monsters and they pick out a monster that they want to have in their hand, could be like the Breeze Dragon, could be something that could really help them out, just activate Drastic Drop off and they get rid of it. It's really useful, unless you definitely need the draw power. If your hand's looking a bit bad, then I would suggest keeping a hand of this. Normally I keep it until I've got field control, and I don't want my opponent getting a Yu-Gi Moto draw and getting something like a Brain Control or something that's going to really turn the tides of the duel. Or if they've got 3 cards left, I want to keep them at that. I want to keep the pressure on them, making sure that they can't summon something so I can get an extra attack in. 2 Force Back. I was tempted to change this for the other card, but that gets the card out into our hand. But that's not a counter card, and I need the draw power. So Force Back works. It's a shame that it doesn't work for special summons, but I can use these pretty well. Keep getting attacks in, forcing them back. You know, it negates the summoning. So if you're against monarchs, then it will negate their effect. So it is pretty useful. 1 Mirror Force, because that's always useful, and 1 Negate Attack. Well, 3 Negate Attacks, sorry, I didn't. Again, been drinking. But 3 Negate Attacks. They're always. I don't need to explain that at all. My extra deck, to be honest, I don't really use any of the extra cards here, so I'm not going to go through them all too much, it's just in case. I might Monster Reborn a tuner card that I've got every situation there pretty held down. For my side deck, I run Divine Wraths just in case I come against any Light Sworns. I run the Iron Imperial Wall just in case I come in deck out decks. Mask of Restrict just in case I come across any like tribute decks, like Monarch decks. Mirror of Oaths just in case I come across any like Gladiator Beast decks, and Shadow Imprisoning Mirror just in case. You know, I think these would all work for certain deck types. I don't normally side deck unless I'm playing like a tournament, because you know I feel like a deck should run by itself no matter what. It shouldn't really depend on side decking your opponent. But in the sakes of a tournament, when I know someone will side deck me, I'll always try and side deck them. That's kind of my rule there. As I said, this deck is really fast, and you got to kind of get used to working it and when to activate the trap cards, when to activate your cards, because you don't want to. It's all about knowing your timing with this deck. If you activate Dark Bribe for anything, if you activate Drastic Dropper for anything, your deck's not gonna really work out for you. To be honest, it's really not gonna work out for you. It's just gonna be like you're gonna activate the wrong timing, and then your opponent's gonna take control of you, and it's not gonna work out. I've got an example duel. I'll probably have more random example duels with this deck because I actually really like this deck. Its main weakness is obviously Lightning Imprisoning Mirror. That'd be a pain in the arse. In that case, I probably should add a few different cards to my side deck. But I mean, this deck is all about. Sometimes you do get bad draws. I'll give you a few example hands like in the description below, but it normally works out really well. I'm not going to say you're going to win every duel with it, but it does work out extremely well, especially with the free honest. You know, that's pretty staple. I did have two of these in my deck beforehand, but I really want the Ace and Hole is stopping your opponent from special summoning. That is a big thing on this game. I can't express that more than I already have. This game, a lot of people use this Debris Dragon with Spirit Reaper, Debris Dragon with Lonefire Blossom. That's like the big combo there. For Black, yeah, Black Rose Dragon. So and you can get free Lonefire Blossoms, and you can have 3 Debris Dragons on this game. A lot of you will be like, that's broken, but you know you can. So you gotta prepare for that. And the amount of times that I've just summoned this card alone, and once people realize, and people will, a lot of people don't know about this card, yet anyway. So once they realize that they can't do anything, they just leave. But I did get one guy earlier on that I got a really good deal with, and I locked him down every turn. Every single turn I had him locked down, and it worked out for me. So tell me what you think anyway. If you think I can improve in this deck in any sort of way, in any sort of shape or form, just give me a shout and tell me what you think I should try and put in, maybe even take out. If you know, I don't know every single card that would work pretty well in this deck, but if you have any cards that you think would work better in this deck, just give me a shout. Leave it in a comment below. And if you like what you see here, you're gonna get more deck lists coming up. I've got a lot of decks to go through eventually, so just subscribe and leave a comment. That's Kai out. Thank you for listening to me. Catch you later. Bye.